Hey everybody, it's Katie Gebley. Welcome to my studio once again. I have taken a couple days off because of the Thanksgiving holiday, which was very relaxing and a great time to be with my family and some friends, and it was a delight. So I hope you as well had a good Thanksgiving if that's something you celebrate, and took some time for yourself and time to reflect on what you're grateful for and getting excited about the Christmas season coming up, and then a new year is right around the corner, which is hard to believe. So today in this video, I wanted to do another art journaling entry. With my last video, I got a couple of comments regarding how I go about my journaling and how do I make such quick decisions when it comes to what tools to use and colors to use. So I thought I would create this video, which I am not going to speed up. So you can really see kind of how I am working here, and I'll talk through some of the things I'm doing. But really, it's all about play and experimentation, which you will see here. So generally, with my art journals, this is kind of a place to just play. It's kind of like a little playground. So going into it, I know that this piece doesn't have to be perfect. This can be a great time for me to kind of try out some of my different colors together and really test out some of my products and that kind of thing. And right from the get-go, just knowing that this is just for fun and it's more of like an exercise, it makes it feel a lot less scary. I know when I teach classes, there's always a couple people that struggle with the blank, white sheet of paper or the canvas, and getting started is the hardest part, which is something that, any parts of life at the beginning always seems to be the hardest. So the best way to break through that is just to start by making some simple marks. And I usually start with some kind of squiggle, which I did with that pencil early on there. I just got a mark down. And giving yourself permission to just kind of try things out is really helpful. Knowing that anything you put down, you can work over it, and it all becomes part of this fun little journey of creating a piece of artwork. So don't feel too weighed down by making one decision about, one mark, what color to use, what product to use, that kind of thing. Just pick something up. If it helps, close your eyes and just pick something out of your bin and just start. Again, this is art journaling, and it's here just more for a therapeutic practice than, creating a masterpiece. So that is, I think, the biggest part of how to start a piece, and especially like an art journaling practice, is just to have fun. A couple principles that I do use, again, these aren't rules, just kind of things that I've learned, is to kind of get some base layers down. I really like this pouring paint. I don't even use a paintbrush or anything. I use a piece of cardstock or chipboard, something a little bit thicker than normal paper. And as you can see, I just kind of pull it down. What I like about this is a couple things. One, it creates a brilliant color. These are kind of fluorescent colors, which aren't quite showing up as vivid on the video, but they're quite vibrant. And another thing I like is that when you do this kind of pulling method, where I'm just kind of pulling the paint, it applies really thin, so I don't have to wait for it to dry. It'll dry within a couple minutes. I could, of course, pull out my hair blower and blow this journal just to dry it a little more, but using thin amounts of paint is just really helpful. If you're in a space where you just kind of want to go, this is really helpful. And I use some just kind of low quality acrylic paint here as well. And I'm going to use the same method where I just put a little bit down and I pull it. And it just creates just a really good foundation for my artwork. So yeah, I'm not thinking too much about the colors I'm using. These are just happen to be the paints that I had accessible on my table. So here you can see the paint is a little bit thicker, so it looks a little more vivid, but it's still quite a thin layer, and it's not going to stop me from continuing on. I always recommend every now and then to flip your work, just to give you a new perspective on what you're looking at, what you're creating. So I just have a mix of different color Poscas. Of course, I would love to have some more, but I am slowly picking up different colors and kind of seeing how I like them. A nice thing about these Posca pens is that you can mark over acrylic paint. So when it comes to something like this, it's perfect because I can just go about my business. I don't have to worry about it bleeding or anything like that. So regarding the marks that I'm choosing to do, part of this is kind of my own personal style that I've been working on for years, and just kind of my go-to movements. And then part of it is me just kind of thinking, let's just see what this is going to look like, and just giving it a try. So like everything else, I'm not really analyzing this too much. I'm just kind of working at it. Something that can help, which I've done videos on a while back, is setting a timer for yourself. You know, if you want to get an art page done in 5 or 10 minutes or something, just set a timer, and then that kind of forces you not to overthink things and just keep moving. Again, just coming up with different marks to make, kind of just to keep the eye moving around the piece, and because it feels good for me. I do pay attention to trying to use different thicknesses or widths of either my pens or markers, just to create a little extra level of intrigue with my work, as opposed to using just one skinny line throughout the whole thing. So just kind of talking through a couple of the principles that I use without, again, making it a rule. It's just something that I tend to follow based on my experience over the years of creating artwork and what works in my style. Many of you might look at this and just think, oh, this is not good, or these aren't the colors I would choose, and that's okay. Again, this is my journal, my personal journal, and I don't intend for anyone really to see this other than these videos. It's not something I open up and show, when I have people over to the studio. This is more of a warm-up exercise for me to just kind of get through some thoughts, lean into that therapy aspect a little bit of just kind of loosening up and letting my mind be free and just creating while I'm doing so. I would love to know, when you are creating either artwork or just in your journal, where do you feel like you get stuck, or where do you feel a resistance? What is holding you back sometimes from moving forward with your artwork or your creativity? I would love to know that. If you want to send me a message anytime or leave a comment below. I think sometimes just giving ourselves permission to have the time to do something like this is a big piece of why people don't do it enough, is just not prioritizing it. And you really don't need too much time. Now I'm using a thicker black marker. You'd be surprised how incorporating some black color into your artwork really makes everything else pop. Seems a little counterintuitive, but I've been really enjoying adding some darker colors like that to my pretty bright, colorful pieces. Now I'm just pulling out a Sharpie, seeing what that looks like. One thing I like about adding all these layers is um, after a while, you can't quite tell which layer was at last. It kind of looks like everything is kind of underneath the other thing, which is, I love that look. And especially with these fluorescent paints and the paint that I pulled down, like you can really, other colors can really pop either above it or below it. And I really like that look. So again, without overthinking, I just pulled this green Sharpie and I'm just kind of adding some circles. I intentionally don't, for me at least, I don't usually like to color over all of the white space. I like to leave some white peeking through a little bit. Some people really enjoy, filling the whole sheet or canvas in, and that's perfectly fine as well. But I do tend to like a little bit of white space poking through my work. I think sometimes with my art journals, it's just such a good excuse to see what all these different colors look like. I don't know that normally in my artwork that I hang on the wall that I would choose all of these different colors, but the art journal is just such a great place to try everything out, see how it looks, see how it feels, see how I feel when I'm using these different materials. It truly is just a playground to experiment and have fun and loosen up a little bit. I am in the midst of sorting through and cleaning up my studio a bit. I've done it a little bit here and there, and the journey continues of organizing and sorting all of my art materials. You can see on this desk that it's feeling a little full in probably the best way possible, but um, I am consciously taking some time to sort through, throw away things that I don't need in the studio anymore, donate anything that can still be used. And I'm thinking through just some ideas of how to really stay organized and kind of lean into more of the minimalistic creativity options that are out there. Haven't quite figured out what that means yet, but it's just something I'm kind of working on behind the scenes. And if you're interested in kind of learning more about what I'm thinking there, feel free to reach out to me as well. I would love to share with you. So here I decided to go back some of those early on marks that I made with the blue. I'm loosening those up by just adding little squiggle marks on top of each of them. There really is no messing up here. I mean, you can keep going and going, and sometimes I worry about overworking a piece, but again, in the art journal, it's like it's not even an issue because we're just kind of having fun here. Just going back through a couple of the colors because if you want a certain color to be vivid, making those marks on top is helpful, or going back over some of the colors. Now you could easily incorporate some different pictures on here, some handwriting, where these the mixed media background here would be more, behind the words or the pictures, and I think that could look really cool. You can print some on tissue paper or some vellum paper, or you can just go ahead and write straight on your journal if you're brave enough to do that. And I always link my the items that I use in these videos, but this is again some watercolor paper in this journal, so it does hold a lot of the colors and the paints pretty well without warping the paper too much. Now I'm going to pull out my oil pastels. These always add a fun layer and a fun pop of color. This is another one of the principles I kind of follow, is with oil pastels, anytime I'm using them, I tend to leave them towards the end of my piece, because it's really trying to write over oils, or even painting over oils. It just, they don't mesh together very well. So I tend to leave the oils on top, and I also tend to use them pretty minimally. I don't overdo it, because they can smear after a while. When I use them on my artwork, I will seal them so they won't smear at all, but I'm not going to be doing that here in the art journal. Now, I will say too, I'm really trying to push myself here in terms of adding layers, and that's kind of on purpose. I keep wanting to see what different layers and more layers would look like. That's something you do not have to do if you don't feel comfortable. But again, which I've said many times, this is just a place and a time to play. So I'm just kind of going for it, which feels really, really good. I take a old toothbrush and use some of that pouring paint and kind of just spatter on top of my journal. I'll bring in a close-up shot here soon so you can see those little details, but it looks pretty cool. And I know for many of you, this is gonna just look crazy and overwhelming, and I get it. But I guarantee you, if you were to create a piece like this, it would be a whole lot of fun. And these kinds of things too, you can use them in other things. You can cut these down. You can use them as art cards. You could send them as postcards. You know, you don't always have to keep everything whole. Even bookmarks would be super fun. I love a highlighter marker too. And going back and adding some details with the highlighter just makes the colors pop a little bit more. Gonna pull out that black Posca one more time. And if you have stuck with me through this whole video, I really, really appreciate it. I hope you were creating alongside me, or at least got some ideas of what to do in your journal, maybe a little bit of inspiration to try doing some crazy painting like this. And mostly just giving yourself time to do something creative. All right, and here comes a close-up. Super fun, super crazy, all the things. But it felt really good to create it, and that's what matters most. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Please subscribe or like this video. If you'd like to follow along, I would love to have you here, and hope you have a wonderful day. Cheers.